screaming from her seat that the baby wasn't his, and she'd prove it. She yelled that she'd kill everyone who betrayed her, including me, the babies, Ryan, and anyone who took my side. The judge ordered her removed, but she kept screaming threats until 4 bailiffs dragged her out while she tried to bite one of them. The judge immediately ordered a psychiatric evaluation and said she'd be held at the state mental facility until further notice. 2 weeks later, the judge made it official and declared Melissa couldn't stand trial because she was too sick mentally. The court sent her to the state hospital for treatment that could take years. Carol's case went forward on its own since she was mentally fine, just mean. Daniel held my hand tight when we heard the news in our apartment. We both knew this was just the start of a long road ahead. The next morning, my doctor scheduled my C-section for exactly 35 weeks since the twins weren't growing enough inside me anymore. Daniel and I spent that last night before surgery lying in the hospital bed together, talking about how we'd raise our babies away from all this crazy family stuff. We promised each other we'd break the cycle and give them normal childhoods full of love, not drama and fights. When they wheeled me into surgery the next morning, Daniel suited up in scrubs and held my hand behind the curtain while they cut me open. At 7:23 a.m., our son was born, 3 pounds and crying loud. At 7:24 a.m., our daughter followed, even smaller but fighting hard. Daniel cried when he held them for the first time, these tiny perfect babies we'd made together. Through the recovery room window, I saw Nathan standing in the hallway with tears running down his face, finally getting to be a grandfather to babies who might actually know him. The nurses took our twins straight to NICU where they'd need help breathing and eating for a while. 3 days after the birth, Nathan came to visit with news about Carol's trial. She'd been convicted of assault and harassment, but only got 2 years probation and mandatory therapy sessions. The judge banned her from contacting us unless we reached out first, which we never would. Nathan said she was finally starting to accept what she'd done wrong, but I didn't care about her redemption story. A week later, Emma brought mail to the NICU while I was holding my tiny son against my chest for skin-to-skin time. The letter was from Melissa's psychiatric facility, and my hands shook as I opened it. She'd written to apologize, but also to announce she was pregnant again with Ryan's baby from before their separation. Ryan showed up an hour later, completely broken by the news that he'd be tied to Melissa forever now through 2 kids. The twins stayed in NICU for 3 full weeks, learning to breathe and eat on their own while getting stronger every day. Grace visited daily with updates on our Seattle house preparations, showing me photos of the nursery she'd painted soft yellow with clouds on the ceiling. She'd found us a great neighborhood with good schools and normal families who didn't assault each other at baby showers. Emma filed all the legal paperwork to make our move protected, transferring the restraining orders to Washington State where the stalking laws were stronger. She made sure Melissa couldn't follow us or send people after us once we left Buffalo. On the twins' second week in NICU, Ryan brought Delphine to meet her new cousins through the glass window. He held his daughter up so she could see the tiny babies in their incubators, and she pressed her little hands against the glass saying babies over and over. Watching Ryan gently explain to Delphine that these were her cousins made me see what kind of father he could have been in a different life without Melissa's poison. He promised me he'd keep Melissa away from us, that he'd handle her visits with Delphine so we'd never have to see her again. 2 days before the twins were supposed to be discharged, Melissa's psychiatric team called with urgent news. She'd become completely fixated on my twins during her treatment sessions, telling everyone they were actually her babies that I'd stolen. The delusions were getting worse despite the medication, and she'd tried to escape twice to come find us. The psychiatrist strongly recommended we leave Buffalo immediately once the babies could travel. At exactly 3 weeks old, the twins finally hit their weight goals and could maintain their body temperature without the incubators. As Daniel signed the discharge paperwork, Nathan arrived with news that Linda had pled guilty to the HIPAA violations for accessing my medical records. She got 6 months in jail and lost her nursing license forever, another domino falling in the chain of consequences